All right, so here's the deal. I just returned from Southern California a few days ago where I was afforded the ability to test drive the all-new from the ground up 2023 Chevrolet Colorado lineup of trucks. I got to take them off-road. I got to take them on the freeway, just touch and see and feel the screens, all this kind of stuff with the new trucks. And what I want to tell you today is my first impressions, not only of the ride, but of the truck, of course, itself. So with that, let's get going. So here's the thing. I understand as this video is going to progress that I'm probably going to take some heat from some of you previous Chevrolet Colorado truck owners or just truck people in general. And a lot of that's going to be due to the engine and what my thoughts are on the new 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo. This video is going to be a little bit all over the place because I'm going to show some clips of when I was driving. I'm going to show you some clips of just walking around the vehicle. I'm going to show you a bit about the screen in the inside. And of course, obviously, most importantly, what my impressions are after driving these trucks. So what basically happened was this. When I got to California, we were given the ability to drive 2 different trucks on the freeway on our first day there. All right, so this is going to be my first drive. I'm taking out this one behind me right here. This is the 2023 Chevrolet Colorado WT, which stands for work truck, which is their entry trim level. This one does happen to have the 4x4 option, and it's not just a rear wheel drive. And underneath the hood is the standard engine. That's a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo. This one, if I recall, has 237 horsepower, 259 foot-pound of torque. And if you look at the fact that there is 3 different motor offerings, well, variations of the 2.7 liter. You have the ability to have that one. You also have a 310 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque, or a 390 horsepower, 430 foot-pound of torque. Not in the WT, but we're gonna have a look at this truck and take it for a little ride and let you know what I think of it. But before we get in there, let's just show you the outside of this truck real quick. As you can tell, it is a WT, so it is not the most fancy looking of the trim levels out there, but it gets the job done. I think really the only thing this would need would be maybe another set of wheels. If it had another set of wheels on this, I think it would spark it up a little bit. So these are just obviously steel wheels here, as you can tell. Size-wise, I believe they're 17 inch wheel. The other thing you're going to notice, unlike some of the higher trim levels, this is all going to be that grained plastic here out front. You are also going to have the grain plastic on the door handles. Oddly enough, though, that's the same way that the TrailBoss is going to be. So the TrailBoss is kind of just a little bit of, step above this. You do have the mirror caps, though. They are paint matched. Heading around to the back bumper, you do have a painted rear bumper. So it's mainly the plastic in the front. What I do like, too, is the hiking boot type of style they have here on the rear bumper. Easy lower tailgate still, though, again, even in a WT. Spray and box liner, tons of tie-down hooks, obviously, in these. You do have a sliding rear window, even in a WT in the back. Now, it is a manual slider, not a power, but I know, it's not the end of the world. At least it has a sliding rear window. Cloth interior, obviously, that's what you're going to get when you have a WT truck like this. As I take you on a drive, though, I'm going to tell you some of the other features it has in terms of safety features and so on. But I'm also going to mention, I'm sure, the screens, and check out the screens. Now, this is the standard screen, standard 11.4 inch screen in this, WT model truck. Not to mention, it has a programmable screen in front of the driver as well, which you can control, and change some things on there. So but it's all digital. That's the whole part about it. The other thing is you have your auto track 4-wheel drive system here also. And check this out. Again, this is the WT. When I put it in reverse, surround vision camera. Sorry, I've got the door open because I got my bag out here, but check that out. Surround vision camera in a WT model truck. You got stop start technology in here. Obviously, you're not having things like heated steering wheel and heated seats, but I guess if you live where I'm filming this right now in California, probably not, a big deal. But let's take it for a ride, and I want to tell you some of my impressions on it. So one of the things I'm noticing already is these screens are beautifully clear. I love the digital display in front of the driver. Now, even though the WT has a bit smaller one from the driver, I don't find that to be at all. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like in the larger screen from the driver. But your 11.4 inch screen, which is standard in this, even in this WT trim level, looks like you're sitting in a high-end truck. Not only that, but it has a host of safety features. I've already noticed in the sign blind zone alert in the mirror, which is another big thing, you know, for me as far as safety is concerned, especially when you're getting used to a new vehicle like this. And it, you know, it has things like IntelliBeam headlights and things like that that are standard as well. But so far, my initial, you know, impressions is I'm actually very impressed with how rich, you know, how feature-filled this WT is. So again, entry trim level, but already I'm liking some of the things I'm seeing. All right, so now obviously because I'm filming, I don't have the radio on, and normally I always have the radio on, or I'm talking to somebody obviously in the vehicle, one or the other. So obviously there's usually obviously, you know, sounds that are going on within the vehicle. Sorry, I'm driving in California traffic. This Northern Ontario, Canada boy, it's got to get used to other people around. But one of the things I wanted to notice is more so when I was in town, when I'm accelerating from a traffic light. First and foremost, I'm surprised with how peppy this is. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm surprised. I expected it to be peppy, but not even necessarily in the entry trim level motor, more so in the Plus or the HO. But I'm impressed with that. But I do notice, you know, a rev up, like a whine to the engine, obviously, a little bit of a sound. Again, that's number two, could be two things. Number one, I'm not saying that the truck itself is noisy. I don't think that, you know, I think the noise reduction that Chevy's done with the truck is fine. I think you just can hear the engine because it's a little bit different than I'm used to when I'm driving a truck with that 4-cylinder. So I can hear that. Again, I don't have the music on. I bet you if I had the radio on, I wouldn't hear it. So maybe it's just more prominent to me because of the fact that, you know, I don't normally drive without the radio or some music on. But I feel very comfortable right now on the freeway here in California, merging, accelerating, and the other thing is the comfort level. Like, I'm really enjoying how this is handling. It's got a very light feel to it, in a good way, though, not in a way where, you know, it feels like it's going to get squirrely on you or anything like that. But I do find that it's definitely got a nice feel, you know, while driving it. So far, again, my initial impressions, not that I anticipated being disappointed, but I am actually pleasantly surprised at what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, you know, with it so far. So you might notice in this video, I'm going to keep kind of coming back and forth because I'm turning the camera on, you know, as I start to notice things. And one of the other things I'm noticing with this too, and now this one, you know, isn't a ZR2, so it's not like it has a massive lift or anything on it, but I do feel, you know, that this truck feels bigger. So I'm somebody who comes from, you know, driving a full-size SUV in a Tahoe. You know, I've always driven full-size trucks for the most part. In fact, I did have an S10, so I had one of these, but that was years ago. But what I am finding about this is that it does sit and feel bigger than the previous generation, and that's a big thing, especially, I mean, but let me rephrase that. Not big in the sense of bulky, or, you know, if you're wanting a small truck, it just feels like there's more to it. Like, it just feels more truckish to me anyways. You know, so that's one thing that I kind of wanted to mention, because, you know, again, it still has an SUV feel in terms of, you know, the drivability, and as I mentioned earlier in this video, the lightness of the feel, the handling, and the steering, I should say. But you don't feel like you're driving, you know, a mid-sized truck around. 36. Then I jumped into the LT trim, and this is one above the WT. This is going to have the Turbo Plus engine in it, which is now producing 310 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. So as opposed to the WT, which had the 237 horsepower and 259 pound-feet of torque, this is obviously bumped up from there. Now, again, it's still based on the 2.7-liter four-cylinder turbo. The cool part about the engine that's in this one, number one, first of all, I already do notice there's, you know, it's definitely more peppy. But one of the cool things about this is, if you get this engine, if you order this engine in an LT Z71, you can actually bump it up to the HO at your local dealership for, I think, in around the $500 price range, which isn't too bad. That'll give you that 530 pound-feet of torque. Still keeps the same horsepower the same, but it gives you a bit more torque. But what I can say so far is I'm already noticing a bit more pep. Now, this has a few nicer features in this one. We have a leather-wrapped steering wheel in this one. I'm sitting on leather seats, which the other one didn't have. The dirt work truck, of course. A little bit nicer wheels on the outside, which I've shown. It does have the Bose stereo system in this truck, obviously, as well. I shouldn't say obviously, but it has the Bose stereo system. Separate climate control. It has a little bit different dash underneath the where the 11.4-inch color touchscreen is. So again, you know, just a couple little touches in here that are noticeable. But I'm gonna get out here on the highway and see how it is when I actually get it up to some, you know, some more decent speed. All right, so the only thing I would say to you V6 fans, 2.8-liter diesel fans from the past, gotta make sure you have your radio up in this, because you definitely will know that it's a four-cylinder by the sound. If I have only one complaint, kind of hard to get around that. But it also could be because, again, I'm doing, you know, driving with no sound for this video. I don't normally do that. I normally have some sort of other noise other than just being able to hear the engine. And again, it is not a loud sound. It's just different from what I'm used to. So the only thing I can say to that is, you know, again, when you have your radio up, probably not gonna be a problem. But performance-wise, this LT is that much more impressive than I already, you know, found the WT being in terms of the, you know, the little more torque and horsepower that this has. And I'm very interested and curious to try the 430 pound-feet of torque, 310 horsepower HO version of this. But in the meantime, if I were to buy one, man, I would be very happy with what I'm seeing here. Obviously, you know, from working at a dealership prior to, you know, what I'm doing now, I've driven the V6 numerous times. I've driven the diesel numerous times. I never found the diesel to be fun to begin with. Obviously, it was a great engine. I'm not taking anything away from it. That's not what I'm saying. But I found the V6 to be fun. But I find this to be just as, if not more fun. It's very peppy. And again, you know, I drove this 2.7 liter in the full-size Silverados. I knew what it could do with those. I'm not totally shocked as to how well it's performing in this smaller platform, but I am more surprised, I think, more impressed, pardon me, than I thought that I would be. Again, especially jumping from the WT to this. Now, the WT, that being said, with less horsepower, less torque, there is a little bit, you know, noticeable difference. But again, it depends on what you're using the truck for. If you're just bombing around town, if you're using it as a delivery truck for a company, whatever it may be, it's got more than enough to take you on the highway, to pass people, whatever it is. The LT just adds a bit to that. And of course, with the LT, you're getting, you know, some other fit and finishes. You know, again, like I mentioned, with the leather wrap steering wheel and the leather seats option and separate climate control and so on. So again, very impressed with how this LT is performing. Looking forward to taking on an even longer ride when I do get that opportunity. All right, so that was just the on-road with the LT and the WT. Day 2, we were able to take out 2 other variations of the truck. Number 1 being the TrailBoss, number 2 being the Z71. And stay tuned as a heads up, because unfortunately there was no ZR2 there. I am hoping to get a chance to get in a ZR2 Desert Boss, maybe a ZR2 Bison, because I am betting dollars and cents we are going to see a ZR2 Bison coming out soon. Nobody has told me that. There's nothing coming from Chevrolet. This is nothing official. This is just, of course, what I see chattering online and, you know, obviously some spy folders and so on. But regardless of that, we got to try out probably, you know, one of the most popular trim levels I think we're going to see this year, which is the TrailBoss. And then, of course, we get to try out the Z71. Now, the TrailBoss, if you didn't already know so, is more of an entry trim level TrailBoss. So I would, you know, count it more along the lines of what you're seeing with the, you know, custom TrailBoss in the Silverado lineup, because the inside is a little more basic. Now, again, it still comes with a big 11.4 inch screen, the, you know, the 8-inch screen in front of the driver. So, you know, it has all that technology there, but it has, you know, a plastic steering wheel. It has cloth seats. It doesn't have fog lights. You know what I mean? So it's a few more basic things in it. Now, if you didn't already check this out, previous to this video, I did do a comparison between the Z71 and the TrailBoss. So you can, you know, I'm not going to talk about that a whole lot in this video, but you can go there and check out what the differences are between those 2 trucks. But the point is, I got to drive both of these. So on the way to the desert or off-road, basically, where we were driving, my co-pilot and I were driving the Nitro Yellow Chevrolet Colorado TrailBoss, and then on the way back, my co-pilot and I drove the Glacier Blue Metallic Z71, which obviously had a few more fixings in the inside, leather, sunroof, and so on, as I just mentioned. Check that other video out. The TrailBoss had the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tires on it, whereas the Z71 had more of, like, you know, just a basic, you know, road all season tire. So pretty cool driving so far. I was the passenger for the first little bit, and, you know, we had some nice twisty roads coming in that we were rallying through, essentially. It surprisingly handles very well. One of the things, obviously, my co-pilot is mentioning today is also, you know, the one impressiveness, or the one thing that I'm impressed by as we're here off-road, is the fact that the electric power steering that this clearly has is working so well that you're not feeling any of the feedback. We're on some pretty rough trail, and you're going to see some footage of it, obviously, in this video, but you're not getting that feedback. You're not having to wrestle the steering wheel for it to work. And then likewise, obviously, when you're at higher speeds, you're on the highway, you're on some very twisty, tight, you know, roads, you're also, it's less sensitive. So you're not worried about, you know, just touching it and you know, you're flying off where you're supposed to be. The other thing I'm impressed with, we're actually in the TrailBoss. The TrailBoss is not the highest trim level. It does have the wider, you know, the wider stance on it. This particular one does also have the more aggressive Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tire, so obviously it's grabbing very well. But the suspension is very impressive to me, you know, again, because this isn't a ZR2, this doesn't have the Multimatic DSSV, and we're going through some very, you know, off camber, one pothole down way, you know, one pothole down on the left, you're up on the right, and it's handling it very, very well. The other thing is very, very noticeable terrain mode, and it really kicks down very hard is what we've come to find. Right now we're running in four-wheel drive high, you know, and it just seems to be grabbing this terrain, you know, as you would expect. Again, it is a TrailBoss, it is meant for off-road. We're also driving with the Z71s though, which do have the narrower stance, and they're handling this, you know, visually from what I can see very well as well. Now we're going to be getting into the Z71 as well, so I'll be able to tell you about a bit more of that as this video goes on. But in the meantime, so far, very impressed with the tight trail off-road handling that the TrailBoss is offering. It's a pretty steep decline here, and you know what we're gonna find is I'm using terrain mode, so that's 4 low and it's 1 pedal drive. So really right now I'm sitting with my foot off the brake and the truck is not moving. I'm on a very steep incline. You probably can't necessarily tell from a video perspective, but I am. Look at there, you can see that's Andre from TFL Truck up there. He is going through that obstacle, and you can just see the angle that truck is taking right now. And we're gonna go through that same one with this. And again, the cool part about this is you don't feel it in the steering, and the suspension works very well. I'm in a Z71, so not as aggressive of a stance that we're seeing in the TrailBoss, but still a pretty good truck here nonetheless. And so here we go. And just like that, that is how easy it was to get through there. And I just kind of wanted to show you some of the things on the screen, and one thing that's really unique about the screen actually. But let's just start here. First and foremost, if we look at in front of the driver, this is an 8-inch programmable screen. You can have lots of different information up here. It's really clear, really bright. I really like it actually. And this is actually right down on the work truck, and you know, the TrailBoss, which is actually below trim level of the Z71. So pretty cool. And again, I really like how that looks. Now, that's the one thing. Then down here, you have your drive modes, which are going to come up on here, which I think is kind of cool as well. So you have your off-road, obviously. You have tow haul mode. Not only that, but of course you have terrain mode, and then you have normal mode, which we're going to leave it in. But the one crazy thing I want to show you is when I was driving back, we were looking, the co-pilot and I wasn't driving actually, I was the passenger at this particular time. He was asking me where the headlights were. And normally I can answer these questions pretty easily. It's over, you know, it's over here, whatever it is. There are no manual buttons for the headlights in this. I want to show you something. There's 2 different things you can do. First and foremost, on the main screen here, if you're on the home page, which is down there, if you press this, right here, that's where you can turn your auto beams on, and so on. Your headlights on, pardon me, or you can leave it on auto, or you can turn them off, whatever. Under controls, if I go under controls, I can also go to lights right here. There's the fog lights, the cargo lights, the auto high beams, and the headlights, whether off, auto, you know, the parking lamps, or on. So again, just wanted to show you, it's a little bit different. I've never really seen GM do that before in terms of how they've, okay, there's your fog lights there again as well, but a little bit different where it's now controlled on the main screen. I don't know of a GM vehicle that's ever done that in the past. They've always been manual buttons. If you know one, comment below and tell me for sure, but I just want to bring that to your attention. I don't know if I like it or not. It's different, put it that way. So here's the deal. Again, as I started this video off, I completely am aware of and expecting some of the hatred maybe coming towards me in regards to how I am feeling about the 2.7 liter. All I can tell you is this. I feel, without having driven something and commenting on it, it's not really, you're not giving anything a fair shake. Now, I completely get, I used to be an 8-cylinder person, and that was it. That's all, until I realized that things change, that progression happens, that we can do more with less sometimes. We can get more horsepower out of less. Why would we not do that? And if you didn't know this, it beats the other engines in all of their favorite categories. So more torque, more horsepower, and better fuel efficiency than those other engines in their specific categories. And what I'm referring to, of course, was the old naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, the 2.8 liter 4-cylinder turbo Duramax, as well as the or diesel, of course, as well as the 3.6 liter. So I can only tell you this. Of course, I understand the hesitation, especially if you're used to the 6-cylinder and 8-cylinder, the diesel. You have to go to one of your local dealers as soon as you start getting these, and these are going to be coming to dealerships very, 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 very soon. They're already running down the production line, and get your hands on test driving one, because you cannot really formulate your opinion on this truck until you drive it. And I went in with an open mind. I actually had good expectations, and they actually blew my expectations away in terms of the handling of it, but also, again, the power and how it works. Now, would I be the kind of person that's going to get the entry trim level? No, but that's not for your every person. That's going to be a delivery person. That's going to be a 2-wheel drive truck. Would I want the mid trim level or above? Absolutely, I would. I would want the plus engine, not to mention if I got the plus engine. So let's say I got a Z71, or let's say I got, the TrailBoss, and it came with the plus engine in it. You can upgrade it to the top tier level of engine, which comes in the ZR2, which is the high output. You can do that at a dealership as long as you have the mid-trim level engine in it. That'll give you, again, you already had 310 horsepower, 390 torque for, I think, in the $500-600 US range. That's going to bump you up to 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. That seems like a no-brainer to me. The point is, very, very impressed. If you have any questions in regards to this, maybe something that I didn't go over, please just comment below. I will be, of course, sharing more videos on Colorados as we move forward. But that is my first ride impressions. I can't wait, hopefully, to try out the ZR2, and I can tell you more about that with the different suspension and different engine. But in the meantime, I would love to hear from you, so comment below. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.